title, Tenormore, is kind of derived from the word forevermore. It's about my life with the tenor, and that life goes back many decades now. And when you think about the word album, an album contains a lot of snapshots of different situations, different views of different aspects of your life. So that's kind of what this is. It's a representation of a lot of different rooms in this big house that I've been living in, this big musical house with this tenor saxophone. We go back a long ways together. We're like an old married couple, but somehow we make it work, and we've got a long history now and a lot of things to look back on and to look forward to. It's not only a return to the tenor saxophone being the center of my universe, but it's also kind of a return to the jazz world in a way, because a lot of what I've been doing in recent years has been very far-reaching stuff. What's amazing about Tenormore is how thoroughly and completely these musicians inhabited that piece. The amazing Helen Sung on piano, she's just so great. Martin Wind on bass, very old friend, and an even older friend, Mackrel, who I've been playing with since the 80s. They really brought that thing to life because it actually really feels like a band. It has a sound, it has a personality. They played the daylights out of it. It's unbelievable.
That's the great thing about jazz music. We all have done so much playing in so many different configurations and different settings. And, you know, when Miles Davis recorded his landmark album, Kind of Blue, he just showed up with sketches but they had all been playing together for such a long time, which we've been really lucky to be able to do. I think we just kind of fall right into it.
I've known Scott for quite some time, and what makes this project special for me is that it's the first time that he asked me to record his music with him, because he's been in my quartet for about 10 years, and we've done several recordings together, and I've always been a big fan of his compositions. So I'm very excited to be part of this very special group.
As long as I've known Scott Robinson, I call him the 8th or the 9th wonder of the world, in that he's one of the only people that I know of who basically whatever he picks up he can play. And the reason why this particular recording is very, very special is because, to my knowledge, it's the only time he's ever played what he once told me he feels is his main instrument, which is tenor saxophone. There's no contrabass saxophone, no Arthur Clyde, no sarrusophone, none of the instruments that a lot of people who've known Scott for many years have come to expect him to play. It's just him and one horn.
Well, ever since I was a kid, I've been listening to all the giants of the tenor, starting with Lester Young, Eddie Harris, Eddie Lockjaw Davis, Albert Ayler, Coltrane, Sonny Rollins, Coleman Hawkins, Bud Freeman, on and on and on and on and on. And they're all very different players. They all have completely different approaches to the horn. They all have a different sound, and they're all great. And so that gives me a certain amount of hope that what I do maybe has a chance, because I can't play like any of them. My thing is a little quirky and different, but maybe there's a place for that too. If there's a place for all these other wide-ranging sounds, all these approaches that are so different, then that gives me the feeling that, okay, put your thing out there, you know. I would like to be taken seriously as a tenor player, even though, as I said, there's a lot of giants out here still walking around playing this instrument.
Scott is a happy marriage of old-time, classic, beautiful stuff meeting the angular world and the cutting edge. He lives in both worlds simultaneously and can do each one well, but they somehow or other find themselves together in his music. It's not just about technique, it's about emotion, it's about feel, and he gets deeper than a lot of people. Really, a lot more people need to know about Scott Robinson, the tenor saxophone player. Here's a guy that can play like every instrument known to mankind, but he is one badass on the tenor saxophone.
Benny Golson, great tenor player, Benny Golson, he came up to me after a gig I did with Ron Carter, and he came up to me and said, "You sound like you're a careful shopper, picking out just the right notes to play." And I thought that was beautiful. And he says, you have a lot to say on your tenor saxophone. Make sure you say more tomorrow than you did today. So I'm out here every night at 3, 4 in the morning practicing to try to get to where I can say more tomorrow than I've said today. And hopefully say a little better, too.